Hi everyone, Azoth here and welcome to my channel. On August 18th, 2021, after 5 months since the reveal of Pokémon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl and Legend Arceus, the Pokémon Company released the most anticipated Pokémon Presents ever, showcasing trailers and gameplay footage of the upcoming new games. My intent for this video is to give you a complete analysis of what we've seen so far in Pokémon Legend Arceus. I will do my best to find connection between elements included in the trailers and try to tie them to the obscure and forsaken lore of this franchise. But before diving into today's video, I'd like to introduce myself. As you might have noticed, English is not my mother tongue. There are going to be some mistakes here and there, but I won't let this hold me back from having a good time with you all. So I ask you, be patient with me. As I said before, my name is Azoth, and I've been a Pokémon fan for so long that I can't remember a period in my life where I wasn't playing Pokémon. I've always been surrounded by these little creatures. I mean, they were everywhere. Pokémon was huge in the late 90s and early 2000s, and if you were a kid in that period, like I was, you probably know what I'm talking about. Pokémon has always held a special place in my heart, and it always will. I was introduced to this franchise with Pokémon Red when it came out, but I was too young to understand how to play a video game though. So all I was doing was leveling up my brother's team in the tall grass, and I have continued playing all these years. Only recently I developed a passion for the lore of this series. The release of Pokémon X and Y were crucial for igniting this passion of mine, and at the time when I finished the games, I ended up having more questions than answers regarding its world building and history. So I started searching Pokémon theories on the internet that gave a possible explanation to what was really behind those games. My love for Pokémon has brought me here. I've created this YouTube channel so that I can share theories and opinions with you. Okay, now it's time to talk about Pokémon Legend Arceus, which is going to be released on the 28th of January 2022. There's so much to talk about this upcoming game that I literally spent 10 days writing the script for this video. So, our adventure takes place in the Sinnoh region of Old. Located north of Kanto, Johto and Hoenn, it is composed of one large mainland and other smaller islands. At the center, Mount Coronet towers over lands that appear mostly inhabited. In fact, most of the cities we know from modern-day Sinnoh haven't even been founded yet, with the exception of a few. The region appears to be divided into at least 6 different micro-areas. To the north, snow-covered lands, Jubilife village in the west, known as Jubilife City in Pokémon Pearl and Diamond, Obsidian Field lands in the south, where we can observe a huge tree nestled on a giant lush hills, a canyon split in two by a river in the south, marshlands, and a crescent moon-shaped bay to the east. Across the map, we can also clearly see the 3 lakes where the legendary trio Mesprit, Uxie, and Azoth resides. The Snow Point Temple, where Regigigas is supposed to be deep in slumber, can be found in the snow-covered area in the far north. Stark Mountain stands out against the sea to the northeast of Sinnoh, home to the legendary Pokémon Heatran. I wonder if and how relevant these legendaries will be in the plot of the game. Enough with geography, let's now talk about the history of the region. As already mentioned before, our adventure will be set in the Sinnoh region of Old. Sinnoh is based on the existing Hokkaido, the northernmost prefecture and second largest island of Japan. Many elements of the game draw inspiration from 2 distinct periods in the country's history, feudal and Meiji-era Japan. In those years, after centuries of being closed off to foreigners, Japan began opening towards other countries, and from a feudal and agrarian reign, it shifted to an industrial capitalistic state based on Western models. Some details that confirm these settings are the Galarian Whizzing-shaped vents that can be seen on the front of the Tinkalacti building. Galarian Whizzing is said to have appeared with the Industrial Revolution, where more and more factories have started fouling the air with pollution. We were also shown kerosene lamps, mass-produced books, gas street lights, which were other inventions of the time. One more clue is the male main character's hat, which is in a style that was becoming popular all over the world in the middle of the 19th century, especially in Japan. This hat is still widely used today as part of the boys' school uniform. In this trailer, the name of the region was also revealed, Hisui region. Are there any reasons why they decided to call this region Hisui and not Sinnoh, as we have called it for 15 years? Well, of course it's not a random choice. If you are a Pokémon fan, you probably already know that Game Freak puts a lot of meaning in every name they pick, and Hisui is no exception. 14,000 years ago, at the very beginning of the Jomon period, Japan was inhabited by a diverse population of hunters, gatherers, and early agriculturalists united under a common culture. The Okhotsk, who have joined the Satsumon culture, which were the direct descendants of the Jomon people, formed their unique culture during the 5th to the 13th centuries. This union resulted in the Ainu culture, also known as Ezo or Ezoichi. They are the ethnic group indigenous to Hokkaido and some of its nearby Russian territories. In their own language, the word Ainu means human, as opposed to Kamui, which means divine beings. Ainu also identify themselves as Utari, comrade or people in the Ainu language, and they called their domain Ainu Mosir, which literally translates as the land where people, the Ainu, live. In the past, the Ainu economy was based on farming, trading, as well as on hunting, fishing and gathering. Their religion was based on natural phenomena and they used animals for rituals. Interactions between the Wajin, name referring to the current ethnic majority in Japan, and the Ainu, occurred in earlier time as well. Although there were wars between the Ainu and the Wajin, they had relatively good relations for a long period of time. During the Meiji era, the Japanese government introduced a variety of social, political, and economic reforms in hope of modernizing the country. One of these reforms was the annexation of Hokkaido as a means to defend Japan from the rapid development of Russia and as a solution for the former samurai class that was unemployed at the time. This is the time when Japan started setting up defenses, building larger towns and cities, began colonizing and exploring the region, creating the first maps and documenting the island's natural resources and wildlife, which is exactly what we'll be doing in this game. In the trailer, they mentioned that in this era, people have journeyed to Sinnoh from all over and founded a prosperous village in the hope of learning more about this land. Keywords are exploring and documenting our journey through these uncharted lands. At last, the name of the region was changed into Hokkaido by Matsura Takeshiro, a Japanese explorer and official in the Hokkaido Development Commission, sometimes referred to as the godparent of Hokkaido. Hisui is a simply fascinating name, full of various meanings and all of them fitting. As you may know, the Japanese language is highly contextual and full of homophones, in short, words that sound the same but have different meanings. For starters, Hisui means jade. Jade is a mineral mostly known for its green hue. It's a durable material that has been fashioned into tools, jewelry, gemstones, weapons, sculptures, and other objects for over 5,000 years. This stone held an important place in many cultures of the past, especially the ones in Latin America and Asia. For example, in China, jade was considered to be the imperial gem, and many Han Dynasty's royal members were buried with the jade artifacts and even ceremonial suites made of the precious stone. Another example is that jade is Japan's national stone and is still considered a symbol of wealth and power. I believe the reason why Game Freak decided to name this region Jade is because of the colors that can be found within it. As you may know, jade comes with a wide spectrum of colors including green, purple, red, orange, yellow, brown, white, black and grey. Looking at the Hisui region's map, we can surely find all these colors, from the green fields, the purple-red ponds, the widespread orange and its yellow shadows, the brunette hills and mountains, to the snow-white lands in the north. In my opinion, even Arceus itself is connected to jade. Its design is reminiscent of jade colors and it has green gems embedded on the arc around its stomach. The association with Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun in Japanese mythology, is crystal clear. Japanese mythology always depicts Amaterasu with her jade necklace said to be used to create other gods. Like that, Arceus created the deities of emotion, time and space. Another meaning of Hisui is kingfisher. As shown earlier, kingfishers are a family of small to medium-sized birds with distinctly brightly colored plumages. Not convinced yet? Well, you will be. Look at this kingfisher, what does strike you? Yes, kingfisher's feathers resemble the same color of jade. There is even a variety of the gemstone named Kingfisher Jade. It all comes together. I win, you lose. Hi also means day, sun or sunshine, and Sui or Mizu means water, one of the elements of Godai, the Japanese system of the 5 elements. Water represents the fluid, flowing formless things in the world. Time and space are said to be fluid, as they flow together endlessly in the universe. Does this ring any bells? Obvious examples of flowing things are river and lakes. Plants are categorized under Sui as well, as they grow and change according to the sun's direction, its intensity and the changing seasons. Nice, isn't it? Can you see how Hi and Sui, sun and water, are well tied together? Hisui is also a very fitting name because of the relationship between Sinnoh, or in this case Hisui, with water. As we already know, Hokkaido, like Sinnoh and Hisui, is an island surrounded by water, and that means people and Pokémon naturally have a tight bond with this element. In my opinion, this connection finds its highest expression in the existence of the 3 lakes, Lake Acuity, Lake Verity and Lake Valor. Next, Hi shares its meaning with the Old Persian male name Kurush, the given name of many Persian kings. This name has been translated as the sun, like sun, young and hero, so we have a sun parallel with the ancient Persian too. But that's not all. Wait until you know what the Greek name for Kurush is. Kirosh, in fact, is Latinized as Cyrus. Guys, buckle up, cause it will get better and better. The sun is crucial to life and has extremely important influences on our planet. It drives weather, ocean currents, seasons and climate, and makes plant life possible through photosynthesis. Therefore, Cyrus can be seen as the metaphorical sun of Team Galactic. He is the organization chief. The sun around which orbitate is commanders, which are named after the solar system planets. The sun symbolism is also related to Arceus. For starters, Arceus and Cyrus's names are quite similar, and just as Cyrus is the center of Team Galactic, Arceus can be seen as the sun at the center of the entire galaxy, where everything is a direct consequence of its will. We're done with the meaning of Hisui, but while we're at it, let's talk some more about names and meanings. We know that the protagonists are called Akari, mean light, and Rei, and just like Hisui, they have a lot of meanings. The most remarkable translation for the purpose of this video is mountain top, so combining the two we get the light at the mountain's top. I'd say it's a perfect fit. If you found Hisui's etymology fascinating, you will be amazed when we'll talk about the Hisui region itself. With all of that being said, what is the history of humans and Pokémon? The trailer showed us that the story of this game takes place in a period when humans and Pokémon live their lives separate and independent from one another. A reality much more different than the one we lived in Sinnoh. People in this ancient region didn't have a lot of information about Pokémon. Humans even feared them. Sure, they managed to develop early prototypes of Pokéball from apricorns, and that means they were capable of capturing Pokémon, right? Then why can't we see any in the village? The only exception are an Abra found inside the Team Galaxy building and a Buizel at the entrance of the village. We know that this hasn't always been the case. From the Sinnoh region's mythology book that can be found at Canalive Library, we can read that in times of need, Pokémon and humans helped each other since the very first days. Long ago, when Sinnoh had just been made, Pokémon and humans led separate lives. That is not to say they did not help each other. No, indeed they did. They supplied each other with goods and supported each other. I'm sure the part of the game will focus on solving the mystery around the coexistence of Pokémon and humans. I'll add more to this point later. For now, I'd like to talk more about the world building. The human settlements found in these regions are few and in between. The biggest of these towns is Jubilife village. If the name of this village sounds familiar to you, it is because we already come to know this place. It's Jubilife City in modern Sinnoh. This village plays a central role because it is the main base of the Galaxy Expedition team as well. Before talking about the team, we should start with the team's symbol first. As I was exploring the internet in search of information useful to this video, I stumbled upon this image on Pokémon Parlor. I'd admit it, I didn't have a take of my own and I still don't have it either, but I wanted to share this image from Sermon, who provided a very cool interpretation for the new logo we'll find in Pokémon Legends Arceus. As it is evident from the pictures, the logo is reminiscent of the Team Galactic symbols we've seen in Pokémon Diamond and Pearl. As you may have already understood, the logo is composed with all the initials letters of the regions that are somehow involved in the plot of Pokémon Legends Arceus. On the official website, it is mentioned that the Galaxy team is made up of people from all over the world, and the same goes from this generation's professor, Laventon. In fact, he has brought with him Pokémon from the three regions connected to Hisui, Oshawott from Unova, Cyndaquil from Johto, and Rowlet from Alola. The commander of Galaxy Expedition team is known to be Kamado. Even though he may come across as too harsh, he is also a very reliable chief and all the members of the team trust him deeply. At some point in the story, Kamado himself accepts us as a member of the Survey Corps. It is clear that Kamado is the ancestor of the famous Prof. Rowan. Even if their names sound different at first, both in Japanese and English they mean the same thing. We then learn that Galaxy Exploration Team is divided into various corps such as the Medical, the Security and the Survey Corps. The Survey Corps looks like to be represented with this symbol right here. It appears to be the fusion of the symbol here and a flower. This symbol can be found on our clothes, on the top entrance of Cylene's office, on this type of chest, and it is used as an adornment in the UI and menus. The duty of the Survey Corps is to observe and catch Pokémon in their natural environment. This will help shed a light on how they live, how they relate with others, and how they behave in their habitats. We'll be assigned a Pokédex to complete, so we'll need to perform tasks and increase our research progress to rise through the ranks. That being said, the Survey Corps leader must be one of Cyrus's ancestors. Known to be both strict with herself and with others, Cylene herself manages to see our potential and allows us to take a trial to join the Galaxy Exploration team. Cylene's etymology is as deep and intriguing as Cyrus. Her name comes from the ancient Greek word which stands for Cylene, the Greek mythology's goddess of the moon, sister of the sun god Helios. But her link to astronomy and ancient gods doesn't stop here. In Greek mythology, the Oread Cylene, which is a mountain nymph, gave the name to Mount Kyllini, a mountain in the Peloponnese. It is said that Hermes, the herald of gods, protector of human heralds, travelers, thieves, merchants, and orators, was born from a cave on this mountain. Cylene is also a natural satellite of Jupiter discovered in 2003 by a team of astronomers from the University of Hawaii. Do you see the connections here? Cylene is the moon, a goddess, a generator of gods, a satellite of Jupiter, with Cyrus as her perfect counterpart being the sun, the ruler of galaxy, two sides of the same coin. It is obvious these two will share some mutual elements during the game, and who knows, maybe they may even meet at some point. It's Legend Arceus we're talking about. Time and space will have a major impact on the story after all. Another member of the Survey Corps we're going to meet is Prof. Laventon, the new professor for the Hisui region. He studies the ecology of Pokémon, which is the branch of biology that deals with the relations of organisms to one another and to their physical surroundings. He traveled the world far and wide and came to Hisui along with 3 different Pokémon he found in various other regions. One of these Pokémon will become our precious ally along our adventure. The professor's main goal is to create the very first complete Pokédex of the Hisui region. It will be our duty to help him out. But the fact that there also exists both a medical and a security corps should make us think. We said that during the Meiji era, the shogunate had full control of the region. Well, the previously aforementioned Hokkaido Colonization Office, tasked with the administration of the region's economic development and security, is the real-life counterpart of Team Galaxy's headquarters. Do you need more proof of this? In Pokémon Legends Arceus, Team Galaxy's HQ is identical to the real-life former Hokkaido Government Office, home to the colonization office for Hokkaido back in those days. But if Japanese colonizers had to defend themselves from the indigenous people's revolts in order to take control of Hokkaido, what kind of threat brought the Jubilife villagers to erect boundaries walls in Pokémon Legends Arceus? In this frame right here, Prof. Lavendon says the Pokémon are terrifying creatures. Why would he ever say something like this? Isn't he the same person who traveled all around the world and brought Pokémon from other regions to Hisui? It also looks like he's not the only one to think this way. As you can see here, the head of Galaxy Expedition Team seems to share the same beliefs with him. As strange as this may sound, I think Game Freak wanted to emphasize the fact that, at this point in time, humans don't really know anything about Pokémon and appear to be wary around them, even scared. I believe there is something more to that, but wait until I'm done with analyzing Jubilife Village, I'll explain everything. A huge red building next to the Galaxy Team's headquarters can be seen. Its flag displays the same symbol we saw before, and I think it represents the Hisui region itself. Looking at it, I can't help but see Mount Coronet at the center and the main line divided into two. I'm sure it is used as a crest of an important family that lives inside the village or as the symbol of the security corps. The same emblem is worn by the red-dressed NPCs in Jubilife Village. At this moment, we have no additional piece of information about the role and the meaning of this palace, but I will keep an eye open for any new information. Along with Team Galaxy's HQ, Jubilife Village grants a wide range of services such as the trading post, where players can trade Pokémon with other people in the world, the barbershop, what looks like to be a dye shop, where you will be allowed to change the color of your clothing. It seems that the most important services are close to the Galaxy's HQ. Across the street, there are some constructions that I call the barracks for the Team Galaxy members. There are also more buildings in the perimeter of the wall we don't know the purpose of. Most of them will probably turn out to be the townspeople's houses. Another important building will be this. I think this will be the place where you can buy food, cooking materials and such. Yes, we're going to cook in this game, but I'll explain this mechanic much more in depth later on. Now that we're finished with the analysis of the village, we can discuss some more about the starters. Who would have ever thought to see these three cuties as starters for Pokémon Legends Arceus? Not me for sure, but it's important to say that they weren't chosen at random. Rowlet, Cyndaquil and Oshawott share a special link with feudal Japan. Of the three starters, the water-type Oshawott and its evolutionary line has the most obvious connection to this period. This starter's family's design is based on the sea otter and the samurai. Samurai were a powerful military caste loyal to the shogun, the military dictators of the time. They dominated the Japanese government and society for 6 centuries until their abolition in the late 19th century, when the feudal system was ultimately abolished. The Japanese word for samurai means to serve, and it's even in the name of the last evolution Pokémon Samurott. In addition, Samurott's whiskers and body plates resemble the mask and the armors that were worn by samurais. Like samurais with their katanas, Oshawott and its evolutions use their shell as swords to strike their foes. The inspiration for this Hisui, the final evolution of the grass starter Pokémon Rowlet, is very much similar to the one of Samurott. The Hisui are skillful archers which shot are said to never miss. Just like katanas, longbows were a major weapon of the Japanese feudal military. Their usage declined with the introduction of firearms during the 15th century. Last but not least, the fire-type starter Cyndaquil might appear to have the most fickle connection to ancient Sinnoh. The link is to be found in Cyndaquil's last evolution, Typhlosion. Its Japanese name is Bakfun, a combination of Bakufu and Typhoon. There are at least two ways to read and pronounce Bakufu. The first is Fiery Blast, which is pretty fitting for the volcano Pokémon. The second reading literally means military government, in short, the shogunate. And we're back again with the samurai theme. Which one of these will you pick for your adventure? I'll go with Oshawott, the best of the three, of course. Let me know your answers in the comment section below. I'm curious. In Pokémon Legends Arceus, Prof. Laventon intends to create the first Pokédex in Hisui's history, and will ask us to help him out. Completing the Pokédex is our main goal, but unlike previous games, the Pokédex doesn't automatically register the data of a Pokémon after you capture it. To do that, we have to complete research tasks to flesh out Pokémon entries, and that means we need to keep studying and observing Pokémon in their habitat. As you can see here from Shink's entry, the Pokédex now has three main pages. The first one shows basic information about the Pokémon species like their name, number, and the category they belong to, type, appearance, eventual sexual dimorphism features, and lastly the entry itself. But there is more. Did you know that in both Pokémon Go and Pokémon Let's Go, Pokémon of the same species can be found in different sizes? It looks like this mechanic is going to make an appearance in Pokémon Legends Arceus. In fact, on the top right corner of the Pokédex, Shinx is said to weigh between 21.6 pounds and 24.8 pounds, and can be between 1 foot 7 inches to 1 foot 10 inches tall. While watching the trailer, I didn't notice any differences between wild Pokémon models of the same species. When encountering a wild Pokémon, the game doesn't mention if the Pokémon is tiny or big, like in the other game mentioned a minute ago. Having said that, I suppose that this feature won't affect the statistics of a Pokémon, but it would be a shame if this feature won't affect the gameplay in some way or another. I will talk about food and cooking in depth later, but it is worth mentioning now that in this game, we'll be cooking lures from basic food ingredients found in the wild. As you can see, Shinx has a list of preferred foods that are observed to be eaten much more frequently than others. This chart will help us know what kind of ingredients to cook together in order to lure this Pokémon in and of course, then to make it easier to catch. Also, a very cool new feature is that wild Pokémon have a chance of holding different items every time they are caught. In this chart, we can see that Pokémon can choose to hold an item from a pool of 4 items. It will be our goal to discover what kind of items each wild Pokémon can be found with. As I said before, we won't fill the Pokédex by just catching Pokémon. In fact, now we have to complete different research tasks very reminiscent of Pokémon Go's research, in order to level up, raise our rank and be granted permission to enter new areas. In this case, the player from the trailer is a no-star member that has seen only 3 Pokémon and caught only 2 of them. Shinx is one of the sim Pokémon, and so its Research Tasks tab is all blank. Looking at this screenshot of the game, I can only say that research tasks look kinda boring. Achievements like capturing the same species multiple times and observing it using a certain attack in the wild seems to be very time-consuming and tedious. Of course, we won't be asked to complete all these tasks to proceed in the game, but I would have hoped to see something much more than this. Folks, what do you think of research tasks? Will you complete all of them or leave the unnecessary ones out? The last page is also very important. It wasn't shown in the trailer, but I suppose it will be the one where bosses' information can be found. Yes, there are going to be Pokémon boss fights in this game, but I'll get to this subject later in this video. The thing to know now is that literally every Pokémon in the Hisui region, as big or as small they might be, can go on a rampage, and this will be where we, as the players, will gather new information about their nature. Last but not least, I'd like to show you this particular detail here. As you may have noticed, Obsidian Fiddlands are marked with a symbol of their own. The same symbol can be seen in this frame right here, next to the Hisui regions one, where all the Pokémon found within the region are listed. Counting the number of symbols, it is safe to say that there are going to be at least 5 big macro areas to explore. Will there be more? Are Game Freak going to release more areas with future DLCs like they did for Sword and Shield with the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra? We'll have to wait and see. From the trailer, these areas seems a little bit too barren for my liking. I hope they will add some more in order for us to get more excited to explore them. Let's now talk about how we are going to catch Pokémon in Pokémon Legends Arceus. Well, it is very simple. We get close to them. If we want, we can hide in the tall grass to leave the Pokémon around unsuspected, aim and throw the Pokéball. It is important to notice that some species will react in different ways. Shinx and Luxio, for example, will immediately attack the player when spotted, while Pokémon like Bidoof or Pachirisu will be more than happy to play with us. On the other hand, Pokémon like Starly will flee if tried to be approached directly, so the best route is to catch them without being noticed. Certainly, wild Pokémon can be weakened in battle before trying to catch them, but I don't know if you can engage in a battle with a fleeing Pokémon. It isn't well explained in the trailer, but I don't know why you wouldn't be able to do that. As discussed in the geographic section of this video, Mount Coronet rises in the center of the region, as a variety of different environments extend from it. The very first thing we see in the trailer is the very first area we'll set foot in, Obsidian Fiddlands. These lands are said to be a resplendent area with gorgeous flowers and verdant vegetation that appears to teem with Pokémon that favor meadows and forests, such as Bramble, Beautifly, Bidoof, Starly and Kricketot. I have noticed that the Obsidian Fiddlands seems to be the only area, at least for now, where we can see torches and beaten tracks. This leads me to believe that this must be the most explored area in the UC region. It seems that fast travel is not going to be a thing in Pokémon Legends Arceus. I say this because when the cursor moves above a point of interest on the map, it doesn't trigger a prompt or anything of the sort. Usually, in video games, if we move the cursor to a point of interest, the game will ask us if we want to fast travel to this destination, but here it doesn't happen. I guess flying with bravery will be the only way to move rapidly in the Hisui region. To start a battle with a Pokémon, all you have to do is throw one of your Pokémon near the wild encounter. The battle then starts seamlessly, without a transition or loading animation, even without entering a battle screen. As mentioned by the official site, Pokémon stats and other factors are now determining the order and how many actions each Pokémon can get in a turn. Fast Pokémon or priority moves, such as Aqua Jet, can lead your Pokémon to take multiple turns in a row, allowing you to decide if it's better to heal after their first action or attack another time. Still, Pokémon can remember only 4 moves at a time. What's new in this game is that all our moves can be used in 2 new ways. We can choose our moves to be agile style moves or strong style moves. Learning to skillfully use these techniques gives us a major advantage in battle. We can choose the style of the move we want by pressing the left or the right directional button on our left Joy-Con. Agile style raises the user's action speed but lowers the move's power. In short, I'd say Close Combat doesn't have a base power of 120, but it allows you to attack several times in a row, depending on your Pokémon and defending Pokémon stats as well. Strong style is pretty intuitive, being the opposite of the Agile style. Our Lucario's Close Combat has a much higher base stat power, but its action speed gets lowered. This seems really helpful when training our Pokémon in the wild without wasting too much time while doing so. I think these styles will be taught to Pokémon in the same way we've been teaching moves with DMs and HMs in previous games. People all around the region will reward us for completing tasks and/or secondary quests with style scrolls to be taught to our Pokémon. I'm sure there will be something like the Unshakable Defense one, which will raise our Pokémon defenses, lowering its attack power or its movement speed, or maybe even the Energy Recovery one, which will recover some of the active Pokémon's HP in exchange for a -1 level decrease on its defenses, or so on. I think this will be really cool. Imagine using the move Protect with a recovery style or using Body Press with a defensive style. The possibilities are endless. I think these styles are a cool new way to shake things up, especially knowing that Game Freak has always tried to apply some changes to the battle system that has always been limited by the 4 moves mechanic. Just think of X and Y and its Mega Evolution, Sun and Moon and Z moves, Sword and Shield's Dynamaxing, which is the fusion of the previous 2. There's also a little detail that can be easily missed. I'm talking about Pokémon moves that continue to have type matchup suggestions. As we can see in this frame, Vulpix's not very effective moves are marked with this triangle-shaped symbol and neutral ones are marked with a little dot. We don't know how the super effective move symbol will be, but this confirms the return of moves that tell you which will be the most effective and which are not. To finish off this section, let's talk about the UI interface in the overworld. On the bottom right corner, we can find our Pokeballs and Pokémon team. On the other side, there are 3 icons with the corresponding directional buttons to open them with. The first icon initially puzzled me, but not anymore. I'm sure this widget will allow us to quickly change between our party, Pokeballs, and the equivalent of the Pokémon ride for the Hisui region. A sort of quick menu, if you will. The second icon looks like it's going to be our bag. We can in fact see a berry, a Pokéball, and our trainer ID. The last icon represents our Pokédex with a brush. When we first see this tree is when a huge thunderbolt strikes it, apparently causing the Pokémon living in the region to literally see red and attack everything that moves. I will later return to this tree in the video, because there is so much to say about it, but for now I want to focus on the wild Berserk Pokémon. These altered Pokémon are for sure boss battles. From what I could gather from the trailer, these battles are divided into 2 phases. In the first phase, the boss Pokémon has full power, and this is the time for us to weaken its stamina and to trigger the second phase, where we are able to fight against it with our team. This type of battle is quite reminiscent of the trainer battles against the Team Go Rockets in Pokémon Go, where we have to win against the Rocket Grands first if we want to catch and purify their Shadow Pokémon. Another cool similitude to Pokémon Go is that rampaging boss Pokémon and Shadow Pokémon are quite similar in many aspects. They are ferocious, have angry glowing red eyes and seem to be controlled by a third party, as they literally appear to be possessed. Then, from the top of a cliff in Obsidian Fieldlands, we are introduced to a never-seen-before Pokémon. Its name is Weirdeer, the big horn Pokémon, normal and psychic type. Weirdeer is a brand new regional form that evolves from Stantlers that managed to live in the harsh natural environment of the Hisui region. It is said that Weirdeer have a strong relation with the local people and have been treated with great care and respect since ancient times. In the past, deers were an important source of food and leather for the Ainu, and it was their belief that many animals were Kamui, the equivalent of gods. In their mythology, Ainu and Kamui are equals, and in a similar fashion that's why people in the Hisui region treasured Weirdeer. Garments made with the fur shed by this Pokémon are highly prized for protecting against the cold. This Pokémon attacks by emitting psychic energy from the black orbs on its antlers, that are said to have the power to distort space. Its antlers, like antennae, help Weirdeer find safe paths when leading young Stantler herds. Its name comes from the combination of the Old English word weird, which means to come to pass, to become, a term developed into the modern English adjective weird, plus deer. And if you are a true Studio Ghibli fan, you will have of course noticed the resemblance with the Shishigami, literally meaning dear god, the spirit of the forest from the movie The Princess Mononoke. Weirdeer's Japanese name Ayashishi is a combination of the word Ayashi, which means strange, suspicious and dubious, and Shishi Odoshi, which is the device made to frighten away animals that might be grazing on the plants in gardens. Thanks to this Pokémon, we'll be able to explore the Hisui region since it will be our terrestrial mount. From what I've gathered from the trailer, this Pokémon has 3 different movement speeds: walk, run and trot. In my opinion, Weirdeer is very cool, a little too similar to its pre-evolution, but all in all it's a pretty strong new Pokémon. It's going to be useful in our exploration for sure. The other new discovered Pokémon is Basculegion, the big fish Pokémon, water and ghost type. In this region, Basculin can evolve into Basculegion. This evolution occurs when a Basculin is possessed by the souls of restless Basculin that died during the journey upstream. It gains power from the souls possessing it, letting it swim without tiring. Basculegion fights together with these souls, which attack the enemy as if they have a will of their own, until it is defeated. Basculegion is confirmed to be our water mount, and oh my, how cool is Basculegion. In my opinion, a top tier designed Pokémon, that's for sure, and I really can't wait to use one throughout my journey. I expect it to be a glass cannon with a high attack and speed values, but also with a lot of HP, being that the Pokémon itself appears pretty bulky. Also, given the fact that Basculegion is possessed by the spirits of other Basculin, I think it will explain why it may have high health points and low defenses. The English name is a combination of the two words Basculin and Legion, the latter meaning a large military force or being referring to the group of demons addressed in the New Testament. In that instance, Jesus encounters a man possessed by a multitude of demons who give the collective name of Legion. Fearing that the Messiah will drive them out of the world and into the abyss, they instead beg him to send them into a herd of pigs, which he actually does, but then the pigs rush into the sea and are drowned. This can possibly explain the water and ghost type's nature of the Pokémon. Idai-to, the Japanese name, may be a combination of Idai, which means great, and Ito, the Sakhalin Taimen, one of the largest and most ancient salmon species that can be found in eastern Russian regions and in Hokkaido. As it happens in Alola and in Galar, Pokémon can adapt and change their appearance based on the condition and the environments they live in. One example of this is Hisui Bravery, the battle cry Pokémon, psychic flying type, with its great majestic white wings. The Hisuian form is a little bit larger than a regular Bravery and is said to live alone rather than in flocks. When a Rufflet evolves in the Hisui region, it will become a Hisuian Bravery. That will be our flying mount for the game. It is said that Hisuian Bravery comes to this region in the winter from somewhere farther north and can imbue its airy screeches with psychic power to generate shock waves that weaken its prey. Then, it uses its sharp claws to finish them. Apparently, it can also use its psychic powers to sharpen its sixth sense and enter a trance that boosts its physical abilities. It will be fantastic if we, the players, will be able to activate this trance boost to fly higher or even faster for a short amount of time. Maybe, while boosted, Bravery will be capable of spotting points of interest or items on the map. I think this mechanic will be very cool if this ends up making it into the game, and overall I really like this regional form of Bravery. The best new Pokémon we've seen yet, and no, you can tell me otherwise, is Hisuian Growlithe. Growlithe has received a regional form being now Fire and Rock type. In the Hisui region, Growlithe always works with a partner. It's highly vigilant and tends to be seen constantly watching over its territory. Its soft fur is longer and more voluminous than its Cantonian form, which allows it to stay active and lively even in the frigid cold temperatures. It is said that Hisuian Growlithe lived apart from humans for a long time and are unused to people, so gaining trust of a Growlithe takes a lot of time. It has a horn on its head made of rock, but it breaks easily, so it uses it only when it will have the greatest effect on the enemy. With the addition of the rock type, Hisuian Growlithe makes me think of one thing only, its evolution Arcanine. As you might already know, this Pokémon draws inspiration from the Shishi, the Chinese or Imperial Guardian Lions. Shishi originated and became popular in Chinese Buddhism, but spread all over Asia. Males were often depicted with a bow and females with a cub under their paw. They were typically made of stone and were put in front of important buildings such as palaces and tombs to protect them from harmful spirits or people. This perfectly matches Hisuian Growlithe's description in that it constantly protects its territory. Folks, I'll bet you anything I have that Arcanine will be something close to these two beautiful pieces of art made by Luis Gonzalez and Elesteva076. Please make sure to go check them out. I'll put the link to their accounts in the description down below. I love how these two artists and I thought of the same possible rendition for Hisuian Arcanine. What a coincidence! They both kept loyal to the official Hisui and Growlithe's design and were able to create two very unique looks for its evolution. Both Arcanine looks simply majestic. Luis did an amazing job incorporating Jade into Arcanine's design, definitely playing more with the Pokemon's rock type, the Jade Horn, the Jade Ball, the fur and the tail. It looks like the perfect guardian. On the other hand, Elesteva remained more loyal to Arcanine's form. Elesteva highlighted Arcanine's fire type by adding fire elements and drew its fur in a way that reminds of smoke and rock at the same time. One of the most solemn and awe-inspiring designs out there. I think these two artists really hit the spot with these two illustrations. Really excellent, congrats to you guys, these are simply amazing. Cantonian Arcanine is still called the legendary Pokémon, but it isn't considered a legendary anymore. I hope it will gain some kind of legendary status or something like it was intended at the very beginning for Arcanine, which was linked to the legendary birds of Kanto. If it ends up being half as good as Luis and Elesteva's designs, I can consider myself satisfied. This game is going to introduce quite a few new mechanics and implement features from older games, and expand on them for a type of gameplay we have never seen before. Our character has the objective to complete the Pokédex, as our avatar will be a member of Galaxy Team. We'll travel across the region to catch Pokémon, charting unexplored territories, completing tasks and even requests from the townspeople, and without a doubt, our path will cross with Arceus. First of all, the player will be vulnerable to wild Pokémon attacks and even take damage by falling from high enough places. If dealt too much damage, we'll become unable to go on with our exploration and black out. Before this game, we only had to worry about our Pokémon's health bar, but now we'll have to keep an eye on our avatar's HP too. It is important now more than ever to use caution when going in the wild and spend the right amount of time preparing for our expeditions at the village or base camp. In base camps, we can stop to let our avatar and our team of Pokémon recover their health, buy items such as Pokéballs, potions, revives, and what seems to be a rice ball? Do we need to eat, sleep and maybe even wear appropriate clothing depending on the weather in order to carry on with our journey? I think it is highly possible. For the first time in the history of the franchise, it makes its appearance, the crafting feature. Here we will craft items from basic materials, and from what we can see the user interface looks clean and intuitive enough. I have to mention that the items icons are finally new illustrations and not reused pixels from old games. Yes, Sword and Shield, I am looking at you. Creating Pokeballs requires apricorns that can be found in the wild or held by captured Pokémon, plus a new kind of material, the Tumblestone. It seems that the color of the Tumblestone is the key factor that will determine what type of Pokéball we'll get. In fact, we are shown that a black Tumblestone combined with a normal apricorn will make a heavy ball. I bet there are going to be ore deposits all over the map like the ones in Breath of the Wild or in Genshin Impact, containing different materials to be yielded by breaking them with the help of a Pokémon. Items that we already know will most likely have completely new effects in Pokémon Legends Arceus. A perfect example is the Heavy Ball. The weight of a Pokémon in Pokémon Legends Arceus will not affect the catch rate of this Pokéball. If you remember from previous games, Heavy Ball were more likely to succeed the heavier the target was. Now, however, Heavy Balls are too heavy to fly high or too far. They are instead highly effective if they hit an unsuspected Pokémon. What an amazing feature, I can stress this enough. I must admit it, this is a very clever move from Game Freak and will create a lot more possibilities for the future of these games. Now I can't help but speculate about all the other Pokeballs we'll be able to craft. Let's take the Rapid Ball for example. I think that it can be thrown from a greater distance, but with the probable downside of having a lower catch rate than other Pokeballs. In this game, cooking and crafting will play a crucial role and will be indispensable for our journey. We'll be able to attract wild Pokémon with lures cooked by us and catch them with Pokéball either bought or crafted beforehand. Thanks to the campfires and cooking pots found in the villages and in the outposts around the wild areas, we'll be able to cook food and lures. If we are in a hurry or short on materials and ingredients, we can just buy them from the merchant who keeps guard in the outpost. I believe the dishes in this game are going to be similar to Pokémon Sword and Shield's curry recipes, a camping feature that allows you to make a wide variety of dishes with both berries and food to get boosting effects like restoring your Pokémon HP, PP and grant experience. Lures have been around for quite a while in the Pokémon games. Introduced in the Sinnoh region, honey trees are special trees that trainer can slather honey on to attract wild Pokémon. In Pokémon Go there are also lures called lure models, items that trainers can use to attract more wild Pokémon around any Pokéstop. It's possible that Pokémon Legends Arceus will have a similar mechanic in place, albeit more complex than honey, with different types of lures to attract specific Pokémon. As seen on a Pokédex entry, each Pokémon has both preferred foods and lures. I believe we'll be able to find these lures around the overworld and even cook them ourselves. Another cool item we'll be able to either craft or buy will be the smoke bomb. When thrown, it creates a cloud of smoke that reduces the visibility area, which will make it harder for wild Pokémon to notice you. How cool is that, guys? This is a revolution! We can finally be stealthy ninjas in the Pokémon world. Joke aside, these smoke bombs will be very useful when approaching wild Pokémon or when trying to escape from the most dangerous ones. Going back to the inventory feature, our bag will probably have a limited space for items and ingredients, unlike the previous games of the series. Just like in Mystery Dungeon with the Kangaskhan storage, during the course of our exploration, we'll greatly rely on the outpost chest to free up space in our bags, allowing us to craft and pick up more useful items we find around. Managing our inventory will increase both the difficulty and immersion of the game, and I can only be happy about that. From Generation 2 onward, wild Pokémon have the capacity to hold items, which the player can obtain by catching the Pokémon or by using certain moves like Covet or abilities like Pickpocket. These items range from berries, evolution stones, valuable items and more. As we can see from the trailer, different Pokémon are able to hold for different items since there are 4 slots under the items carried section of the Pokédex entry. Most likely, each item will have different rarities. This shot leads me to believe that each Pokémon will have a pool of held items that will be much greater than in previous games. The time has finally arrived to talk about one thing that struck me, the lightning at the beginning of the trailer. We can distinctly tell that this thunderbolt is not a simple natural phenomenon, but sparkled by something else. Its connection to the Pokémon going on a rampage is crystal clear. I am sure you have noticed the huge tree that has been shown multiple times throughout the Pokémon Presents. This mysterious tree, surrounded by ancient ruins, seems to be linked with Arceus and its powers. I don't mean to get your hopes too high, but I'm quite confident this tree holds the key to the plot and lore of this game. And now I'll tell you why I think so. Before going in depth with the discussion, I would like to make you notice some parallel first. Do you know what's the name of the Greek deity that strikes his enemies with thunderbolts? Exactly, Zeus, also known as Jupiter, the god of the sky, thunder and king of the gods. Arceus couldn't be more of a metaphor for this deity. The oak is considered to be a symbol of strength, wisdom and knowledge. This tree is also considered a living legend, known to easily surpass 100 years of age, that can stand between 18 and 30 meters tall, while its crown can reach a diameter of 45 meters. It is no wonder if the oak is one of the most loved venerated trees. In many cultures, this tree has been associated with many gods, notably Zeus and Thor. I say all of this to safely speculate that the tree in this game is probably an oak. The connection with the godlike legendary Pokémon Arceus, ruler of the worlds, is lampant. One more link to our ancient world are the ruins found scattered around Hisui, the same ruins we can find around the giant oak tree. With their ancient Greek and Roman appearance, they pose a stark contrast with the landscape and the people inhabiting these lands, so they must be linked to a civilization long gone. Now that we're done with the parallels, we can move on to the lightning itself. Before the lightning forms above the tree and strikes it, we can clearly see an amalgamation of particles and electrical sparkles converge together to unleash the blinding force. And this is not the first time we've seen these particles. In Diamond and Pearl, when Cyrus uses Palkia and Dialga to create a new universe to rule, the two legendaries emanate the same exact particles. The lightning and its particles are also eerily similar to one legendary signature move. I'm talking about Eternatus Eternabeam. Moreover, all this energy appears to come from 5 different directions. Once again, we return to Eternatus, more specifically to Eternamax Eternatus. Eternamax Eternatus Pokédex entry states that infinite amounts of energy pour from this Pokémon's large core, warping the surrounding space-time. So it's only logical for me to ask, could the Arceus be the counterpart to Eternatus? Will Arceus itself have an Eternamax form? Or will Eternatus play a role in this game? Only time will tell, but if Pokémon Legends Arceus is going to be connected to Sword and Shield in any kind of form, I'll be amazed. This isn't the only connection to Eternatus, of course. In Sword and Shield we know that when a Pokémon is exposed to a large amount of Galar particles, particles found in Galar and in Wishing Stars, parts of Eternatus' body, that Pokémon will Dynamax or Gigantamax, becoming much larger and more aggressive. This mutation happened during Galar Darkest Day, when Pokémon started Dynamaxing all over the region, going berserk. I believe that Arceus sets the wild Pokémon off, in a similar way that Eternatus does with Dynamaxing. I also think that this phenomenon will possibly be a recurrent event, like the Blood Moon mechanic of Breath of the Wild, where every once in a while Pokémon will go berserk until we solve this mystery. When looking at the cutscene depicting Arceus, we can see its glowing eyes as red and menacing as the berserk Pokémon under its control. I want you to look at its colors in particular. Exactly. They're the same ones used for the lightning's particles and for the Dialga and Palkia's cutscene in the old Sinnoh games. In the end, it all comes together. Do you remember when I was talking about Kamado, Team Galaxy's commander, and the fact he's trying to warn us about Pokémon? Well, it's time to return to that matter once and for all. Commander Kamado explicitly says, Pokémon are terrifying creatures, keep your wits about you as you work. Could this have something to do with the history of Jubilife village? And could the rampaging Pokémon have attacked this village before in the past? In my opinion, it happened, and it will happen again during our adventure in Pokémon Legends Arceus. Here are the elements I found in the village that support this theory. Have you noticed that the only humans that have Pokéballs are the red-dressed NPCs? Well, I think they are soldiers, members of the security corps loyal to their commander Kamado. Wait, what? Aren't we being told that Pokémon trainers are not supposed to be a thing yet? Yes, and for me, this is suspiciously too strange. I still don't know why Game Freak decided to tell us Pokémon trainers don't exist in this world when it is obvious that they indeed exist. From here on, there will be spoilers about what will probably be the story of Pokémon Legends Arceus, so if you don't want to know anything about it, I suggest you to leave now. It is mostly likely that, not long before we start our adventure, humans have discovered that Pokémon can be captured inside Pokéballs and start using them as tools for battles, like it was, for example, 3000 years ago during the Kalos War. I think we would have seen more Pokémon out of their Pokéballs if humans would have considered them as friends, but that is obviously not the case. It is important to remember that humans are scared of Pokémon, and they tend to use the most docile looking, as they know too little to try taming the most powerful ones. But the questions here are, who's the enemy, and what is threatening the villagers' security? If you want to know the truth, we have to look at the huge bell on the top of the entrance gate of Jubilife village. That, my friends, is an emergency bell. When the sentinels spotted the enemy, they rang the bell as a warning to let the people hide and alert the warriors to prepare themselves. I now predict there are going to be hordes of rampaging Pokémon storming the village from all directions. It will be the security corps' duty to stand their ground and protect the villagers by sending out their Pokémon on the front line. The goal here here is to save as many human lives as possible, no matter what it takes. In this regard, we can find the answers in the Veilstone myth, an ancient legend about a young swordsman that appears in a book at Canalave Library. In a past long gone, there's a young man with a sword. He smites Pokémon with it, either he eats them or discards them. He doesn't care for his actions, until no Pokémon appears in the wild. As his larders grow bare, he searches far and wide to find Pokémon until one finally appears. The man asks why the Pokémon hide from him, and the Pokémon answers that if he continues to harm them with his sword, they are going to protect themselves with their fangs and claws. The Pokémon also says that they will exact a toll from humans, and even though it must be done, the Pokémon apologizes. The man shouts to the sky and denounces the sword, promising to forget his weapon, burying it in the ground. He then pleads for the Pokémon's forgiveness as it goes to a place beyond seeing. This is the tale that tells us why cold weapons are not used in the Pokémon world, and it warns us about the revenge the Pokémon must take on us, the humankind. Before drawing any conclusion, it is right to mention that the ancient human population have also buried and sealed Pokémon away. In the sealed chamber in the Hoenn region, we can find these braille inscriptions that cite, "Long did we live here in this cave, all thanks to the powerful Pokémon living alongside us. Yet we sealed that Pokémon away, alone in the dark. We feared it. If you have the courage, if you still hold to hope, open the door, for beyond it the eternal Pokémon waits." Back then, humans didn't know anything about Pokémon and didn't have the technology to create Pokéballs. Probably, in those ages, humans were preyed upon and eaten by wild Pokémon. Everything changed when Regigigas and its offsprings, Regice, Regirock and Registeel, appeared in front of them. Despite them being terrifying creatures, humans accepted them in their villages. In exchange, these titans gave them knowledge, teaching how to manipulate the elements to their liking. Although humans were grateful to the titans, they continued to be suspicious until the day when they decided to seal their lord in a temple and the other three under the ground. The humans feared the titans so much that they couldn't live in the same place where they sealed them, so they decided to leave in search for another land to forget their past and what they did to the Pokémon. The same happened in Hoenn as well as Galar, Unova and Hisui. Curious note, in Pokémon Platinum, Regigigas can be found inside the Snow Point Temple at level 1, a sign that may tell us that humans had to weaken it by a lot before forcing it into the temple. On the other hand, Galar seems to be the only region where humans tried to control the Pokémon before sealing them away. It is the case of Regieleki, which ancient people placed insulators similar to rubber on its body in order to restrain its powers. But the Pokémon was far too powerful and it continued to torment the humans until it was sealed away. It's clear now that Arceus has tolerated humanity's despicable actions for far too long. Now, it's time for Arceus to exact the toll, and it has already happened in Pokémon Arceus and the Jewel of Life movie. Arceus here is enraged, betrayed by selfish humans putting themselves first. The same fate awaits the Hisui region in Pokémon Legends Arceus. It is possible that Arceus did already turn against the humans in the past, but as we continued persevering doing evil deeds, it will come again to teach us a lesson. But there remains a hanging question. Who or what will be the antagonist in this story? Arceus itself, Cylene, or even Cyrus? Maybe it is finally time we see the return of Cyrus. As we defeat him in Pokémon Platinum, he hints that he will someday make his ultimate goal of creating a world without emotion and spirit into a reality. He will return, traveling through time to destroy the entire universe so that he may start another one as its god. Probably he will persuade Cylene to join him, and together with the help of Dialga, Palkia and Giratina, they will attack Arceus in order to overthrow it and conquer its place. And that's where we come in. It will be our goal to gain Arceus' trust once again in order to defeat this evil alliance. We'll have to convince humans that Pokémon are not dangerous and that it's possible to live together in harmony and in peace. With this bond between humans and Pokémon, Hisui will reach a time of peace and freedom, and it will be renamed Sinnoh in memory of this event. And now, my friends, all will end and everything will begin. So this is it. What do you think? How did I do for my very first video? Let me know in the comment section below. Tell me if you liked my analysis for this upcoming new game. Also, tell me what is your favorite thing about Pokémon Legends Arceus and what are your hopes for the game. Personally, I am so eager to play this game. The second trailer was much more superior in quality than the first one. Both animation and frame rates were improved significantly. I am still a little bit concerned about the texture and the lighting. I think there is a lot of room for improvements on those fronts, but I also think this is not how the final game is going to look. In my opinion, the game will look gorgeous. As they were able to fix the Diamond and Pearl remakes, they will surely fix this game too. There are still things we don't know yet. For example, we don't know if there are going to be shinies in the overworld like it is in Pokémon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. We don't know why the giant oak tree can't be found in Modern Era Sinnoh region. We don't know if we will be able to revisit the Sinjo ruins. It will be the perfect opportunity for Game Freak to actually reveal the connection between Arceus, the Unknown, Sinnoh and Johto. We don't know if Regigigas, Heatran, Darkrai, Cresselia and all the other legendaries will have an important role in the main campaign of the game. And we don't know a single thing yet about the huge geyser-like thing that circles around in the lake near the oak tree that was shown in the first trailer. Could they have some sort of connection? It seems that Game Freak wanted to build up the interest for this geyser without showing it again. I'm sure it will have a major impact on the plot or during our adventure in the Hisui region. Also, we have yet to see a Pokémon game with voice acting, and if you ask me, Pokémon Legends Arceus will not break the streak. In an interview done by director Omori on the subject of Pokémon Sword and Shield, it was pointed out that the amount of work that would be required for recordings due to localization in 9 different languages will be incredibly difficult. The director also explained that they want to encourage the players to immerse themselves and get their own feelings of a character. According to the developers, that feeling of immersion will be ruined with the voice acting. Still, after knowing all of this, instead of having to see a fully animated character opening their mouth and then a text box appears, it would be nice if at least during the cutscenes we got characters with dubbed voices. We'd be so much more absorbed in the world and its story. I'm not saying they should voice every line of the game, it's an RPG after all, with a lot of text, but it will be so cool that will elevate the game to a whole another level. Now, keep in mind this is my opinion, so what do you think? And there you have it. The making of this video has been really challenging. I almost gave up, but with some help I did manage to make it to the end. A huge Gigantamax shoutout to Mint Totodile for helping me through this insane experience. Making this video wouldn't have been possible without you, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. For now, that's all I got. I hope to become more fluent and comprehensible with my next videos. See you next time everyone, bye!